Hello everyone, welcome to BODHI. My name is Alex Nashton and I have Chris Yates joining me today to demonstrate our 40-minute long beginner's yoga practice. Chris is going to come in just 1 second, but before you get started, you're going to want to be sure that you have 2 blocks nearby. If you don't have 2 blocks handy, you use whatever you've got available at home. I usually say 2 shoe boxes work really well, or those old DVD sets, those work too. And then you're also gonna wanna have something soft to cushion your knees as we get into more of the lunging shapes in this practice. So grab a bolster, grab a pillow, grab a blanket, set it down beside you, and then you'll lie down on your back. And as you lie down on your back, you're gonna widen your stance just a little bit so your feet are a little bit further apart than your hips, and you let your knees fall into touch. So the knees are making more of a tent shape here. You'll close your eyes and bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your chest. And as you immediately settle into this shape, you'll feel the most superficial layers of your body. You'll let your jaw unlock and make some space between your top and bottom teeth. You'll let go of any lingering tension in the throat, in the neck, and in the tops of the shoulders. So you let them relax down towards the ground, not resisting gravity in any way. And from that easefulness in the upper part of your shoulders and the lower part of your face, you'll draw your awareness upward. And feel softness underneath the eyelids, a release of tension in the muscles surrounding the eyes, and a feeling of heaviness kind of moving over the muscles of the face, moving over your mask as if it could slip away. Releasing with it any old emotion that you've been carrying, any physical pattern of tension or tightness. You'll focus on the subtlety of your breath moving you. The way the interaction of breath and body changes every single cell. And the way the pulsation of your heartbeat ripples through you. So all of these minute, tiny signs of your own aliveness, creating this ripple effect of shift and change. And with this observation of the way your body changes and the way your energy level shifts, we'll begin to introduce a little more movement into the practice. So you'll draw right knee in towards your chest, you'll straighten your left leg out in front of you. And you'll flex all 10 toes back towards your face, so your heels are reaching forward, your toes are drawing back. And now many of us, as soon as we come into this twist, tend to let our leg externally rotate, that straightened leg. And we want to make sure that the leg is in more of an anatomical neutral. So here I want you guys to think about pressing your inner left thigh down towards the ground. So your left toes, while they're reaching back towards your face, are pointing directly up towards the sky. Your left kneecap is facing the ceiling. The top of your left thigh faces up. And now keeping that integrity, keeping that same kind of activation in your left leg, you're going to draw your right knee across your body for a twist. And if you're anything like Chris, you'll probably grab a block just because he likes to have that additional support. He slides it underneath his right knee. You can use a pillow as well if that's feeling good for you. And then you'll let your right fingertips extend out to the right. So right knee draws to the left, right fingertips unfold to the right. And know that in this shape, I want you to think about both simultaneously widening your body and also lengthening it. So think about pulling your right hip away from your right armpit here. Let your right waistline get a little bit longer, and know that it's okay if your right shoulder blade doesn't rest on the ground here. You don't have to force it down, but instead think about just creating more width across the front of your chest. Think about creating even more space between your collarbones. And notice how as you lengthen your structure, how as you widen it, it changes the way your breath moves through you. You'll take one more inhale here. And then as you exhale, you'll unwind yourself. So coming back to center, you'll straighten your right leg out in front of you this time and curl left knee into your chest. As the left knee comes in, you'll flex your feet, so all 10 toes draw back towards your face. You wake up your right leg, you wake up your straightened leg, so toes draw back, your inner right thigh pins down, and your right thigh remains engaged. And now can you draw your left knee across your body for a twist, maybe finding that support again underneath the left knee if you used it on the other side, before letting your left fingertips kind of unfold to the left. You work to create length in your body as well as width. So you pull your left hip away from your left armpit. You let your waistline get long. And then let your left side collarbones, your left side rib cage unfold to the left. And I'll give you a little more time to breathe here. And then you'll slowly unwind yourself out of it. So bringing yourself back to center. Now you take both knees into your chest. You give them a little squeeze, and then you start to rock yourself forward and back. And forward and back, and forward and back, until eventually you can bring yourself all the way up to sit. And once you're seated, you can either cross your ankles in front of you, or you can just rest one shin in front of the other. I do recommend that you elevate your seat here, whether that's up on a block or sitting all the way up onto a bolster or a pillow, just because when we can find that elevation, when we can find that lift in the seat, it enables the pelvis to tilt forward. So these pubic bones in the front can kind of revolve down as the sitting bones turn back. And that enables us to find the kind of integrity in our spine that we need to keep it curvy in all of the parts that we want to be curvy, and lengthened in the parts that we want to have lengthened. So from this seat, you're going to reach your arms around and up, and then you're going to stack one hand on top of the other hand on top of the crown of your head. And then you're going to widen your elbows, so make sure they're not collapsing down towards each other, but elbows stay wide, and you really actively press the crown of your head up into your hands. As you inhale, you pull your spine longer, so feeling the rooting down through your pubic bone and the lifting up through the crown of the head. You exhale and revolve your right elbow back, your left elbow forward. And as you spin yourself into that very gentle twist, you're still fighting your fight to keep the elbows wide, because many of us, as we twist here, tend to kind of let the chest collapse down. We let the elbows sink forward. We try to use the support of our neck to twist deeper than we actually have the ability to do. So think about the twist coming more from the musculature of the upper back than anywhere else. You do that by continuing to press the crown of your head into your hands as you press your hands into the crown of your head. Each breath in lifts you up a little bit higher. Each breath out pulls the right elbow back, the left elbow forward just a tiny bit more, and we'll stay with that just a little bit longer. One more inhale. One more exhale. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. Switch the cross of your fingers or switch the stacking of your hands so the other hand is on top or the other pinky's in front. And then as you exhale, you unwind the left elbow back, the right elbow tip forward. The elbows stay spread wide apart as you twist. Your sitting bones stay anchored down, and you make sure that your right sitting bone is not creeping forward here, but instead that you keep it plugged down and back in alignment with the left. Each inhale helps you lift up a little bit taller. Each exhale helps you revolve into the twist just a little bit more. Take 2 more breaths here. And then next time you breathe in, you'll come back to center. As you exhale, you can release your hands down. You'll slide your block out of the way if you were sitting on a block. Slide your pillow out of the way, and then you'll come forward onto hands and knees. So on all fours, the wrists are gonna be underneath the shoulders, the knees are gonna be underneath the hips. If it's uncomfortable for you to have your kneecaps down on the ground like this, you can optionally elevate your knees up onto a pillow or up onto your blanket. And then with the wrists underneath the shoulders, you're gonna stretch the palms of your hands open, press every single finger knuckle down onto the ground beneath you, tuck your toes under for a moment, and make sure the feet are inner hip distance apart. So the feet are not touching here, but instead they're just as wide apart as the hips. So Chris, you can widen your feet a little bit more. Yeah, good. Now as you inhale here, you're gonna lift your heart, you're gonna lift your tailbone and arch your back body. You might even look forward slightly as well. As you exhale, you curl your chin in towards your chest, press the tops of your feet down on the ground and round your spine so the back of your heart plugs up towards the ceiling. And we'll keep going just like that. So as you inhale, you tuck the toes, you lift your heart, you lift your tailbone, arching your spine. As you exhale, the chin curls in, the back of the heart pushes up towards the sky, the tops of your feet press down on the ground. And we'll keep going just like that a few times. And I like to use the feet in this way as we're moving through our cat-cow shape because oftentimes we'll kind of forget about the feet, we'll neglect them, and we can actually find a little more mobility in the pelvis by keeping the feet engaged. By tucking them under and pressing the tops of the feet down, we gain the ability to kind of manipulate the movement of the pelvis a little bit more. So make sure that you're using your pelvis here, that every time you breathe out, your tailbone is lengthening down, that every time you breathe in, your pubic bone reaches towards the back of the mat, the sitting bones lift up towards the sky. Good. We'll take one more exhale here. And as you next breathe in, you're gonna find a neutral lengthened spine. You'll walk your hands out a little further in front of your shoulders. You'll tuck your toes under and then push your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Once again, in that dog, we wanna make sure that the feet are inner hip distance apart. You're using the pressure down through the palms of your hands to elevate your hips. And now in this position, this is a tremendous amount of weight that we're putting down onto the hands, that we're putting down into the wrists. So you really want to make sure that there's integrity in the upper body, that you're using your shoulders to help you find even more stability here. So pressing down through the palms of your hands, I want you to think about spinning the creases of your elbows to face forward. And think about spinning your triceps in towards your ears, like you could turn your armpits in towards your heart. That kind of rotation in the shoulders. And now as you next breathe in, you're gonna shift yourself forward to a plank pose. So the shoulders are gonna come over the wrists. The legs are fully straight back behind you, which for some of you might mean that you need to slide the balls of the feet back a little bit more. Now you can either keep your knees lifted or you can optionally drop them down. Either way, you're gonna bring your shoulders forward past your wrists, come up onto your tiptoes, and then bending your elbows straight back, you lower all the way down onto your belly in one flat piece. Slide your wrists back so they're underneath your elbows. Press the tops of your feet down pretty firmly onto the ground. With that pressure down through the tops of the feet, you engage your thighs so your kneecaps lift up. Very opposite to what we were doing in that seat where we were twisting. You're gonna press your pubic bone down towards the ground and lengthen your tailbone back towards the space between your heels. And now you'll inhale and lift your head, your neck, and your chest up. Make sure your elbows stay squeezing in towards each other. You exhale and release the head, neck, and chest down. Again, you inhale and peel yourself up. You exhale and release back down. One more time, you breathe in and peel head, neck, and chest up. Pause here. As you exhale, you press down through your hands, you press down through the tops of your feet, you ease yourself up onto all fours. And then tucking the toes under, you're gonna lift your hips up and back into another downward facing dog. Bend your knees, lift your heels, and look up. At the bottom of your exhale, you step or walk or hop your feet up to meet your hands, whatever you feel ready for here. As you inhale, you're gonna bring your hands to your shins and find a flat back, and then I want you to pause with this flat back and make sure that your feet are still inner hip distance apart. And if you need a little extra help to kind of measure that out, you can take your two fists side by side between the highest part of each arch, and that's gonna kind of give you the right proportion. That's gonna kind of give you the right distance. Once you've got it, make sure there's a little more weight towards the balls of the feet, a little less on the heels, so you're not sticking your butt back in space. Your belly button squeezes in towards your spine. Your sternum is lengthening forward, so you're reaching forward through the crown of your head. And now as you exhale, you engage your thighs and let your upper body relax down as the lower body works to lengthen. So can you fight your fight to straighten out the backs of the legs as much as you comfortably can here? Very nice. Inhale, walk your hands up onto your shins, find a flat back again. Exhale, release forward. We're gonna do that one more time. So you inhale to find your flat back. Again, a little more weight towards the balls of your feet, a little less on your heels. You exhale and unfold forward and down. Inhale, sweep your fingertips all the way around and up to the sky this time. You come to stand all the way up. As you exhale, you bring the palms of your hands to touch at the center of your chest. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Collarbones stay spread wide apart. And now, still keeping your feet inner hip distance apart, you're gonna breathe in and reach your fingertips around and up towards the sky again. You exhale and swan dive yourself forward and down. So arching through the upper back, your head, your neck, and your chest are the very last things to drop. You inhale and take your hands up onto your shins. You work to find that length in spine again. And now as you exhale, you bend into both of your knees, you plant your hands, and step your left foot way back behind you. Pause. Make sure your right knee is directly over your right ankle. So for some of you, that might mean shimmying the sole of the right foot a little further forward until you can get a 90-degree bend in that leg. And now you're gonna keep your left hand where it is. If you'd like to grab a block underneath that left hand for a little additional support, you can. You'll reach right fingertips up to the sky. And now pause here, and if balance is feeling a little tricky for you already, you definitely have the option to release your left knee down towards the ground. Beautiful. As you inhale, you're gonna reach your right fingertips up overhead, so your arm is framing your ear. You're still working to find that twist in the uppermost part of your back, so your right side lung and rib cage lifts up, your left side lung and rib cage pushes down. We want to find space between the left shoulder and the ear, so continue to pull your left shoulder blade down your back away from your ear. And now staying in this twist, as you exhale, you're gonna bend into your right elbow, finding like a half cactus shape or a half goalpost shape. Yeah, so you can draw your elbow down just a little bit more. Work to find even more space across the front of your chest. And now you'll inhale and reach your right fingertips up overhead again. As you exhale, you work to find that half cactus shape. Beautiful. You inhale and reach the right fingertips forward. Last time, you exhale into that half cactus shape, and then you'll release your right hand down to the ground. You can set your block aside if you were using a block. Your left knee will lift up, and you'll step your right foot back to meet your left foot in a plank pose. Once again, your knees can either be lifted or you can optionally drop them down to the ground. Either way, shoulders come forward past your wrists. You're high up on your tiptoes. And then you'll exhale to bend your elbows straight back, lower all the way down onto your belly. Point your toes back. Firm up your thighs so your kneecaps lift. Find that engagement in the core, the lengthening in your lower back. And now you inhale to peel your head, your neck, and your chest up off of the ground. As you exhale, you tuck your toes under. You press your hips all the way up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. A breath out. You'll inhale and look forward past your fingertips. As you exhale, you'll step just your left foot up between your hands. The left knee is at a 90-degree bend, so once again, the knee is directly over the ankle. The right leg is totally straight. And then you might optionally grab a block for underneath your right hand as you reach the left fingertips up to the sky. Notice how stable this feels. If you know that you need a little extra support here, you can definitely drop your right knee down. That's an option once again on this side. You'll inhale and reach your left fingertips up overhead so your arm is framing your ear. And it's almost like you are reaching that hand forward to shake someone else's hand in front of you. So the thumb side of the hand revolves up, the pinky side of the hand revolves down. As you inhale, pull yourself a little bit longer from your tailbone out through your left fingertips. And then as you exhale, find that half cactus shape and work to find space across the front of your chest. So you widen across the collarbones, the right shoulder blade draws down your back away from your ear. Inhale, reach your left fingertips up overhead again. Exhale, you find that half cactus shape. Inhale, reach the left fingertips up. Exhale, half cactus shape. And then last one, you'll inhale and reach up. Exhale, you bend into your left elbow, you make space across the front of your chest, and then you release your left hand down to the ground. Lift your right knee up if it was lowered, set your block aside. You're gonna step your right foot forward to meet your left foot. And as you do, you'll bring both hands to your shins and find a flat back here. Beautiful. As you exhale, you let your upper body relax down, you fold forward. Inhale, sweep your fingertips all the way around and up to the sky, stand all the way up. You exhale and bring the palms of your hands to touch at the center of your chest, and we'll do that again. So inhale, sweep your arms around and up. You exhale and dive yourself all the way forward and down. Inhale, hands to your shins, you find a halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, left foot steps way back behind you. Inhale your right fingertips up to the sky. You grab your support if you need it, although we won't be here for too long. Inhale, reach your right fingertips up overhead. Exhale, cactus that right elbow, broaden your collarbones, and then release your right hand down to the ground. Inhale, the right foot steps back to meet the left foot. You're in a plank pose. Shoulders shift forward, the knees are either lifted or you drop them down. You bend your elbows straight back, lower all the way onto your belly. And then you'll untuck your toes, breathe in, lift head, neck, and chest up, baby cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes under, press yourself all the way up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, left foot steps up between your hands. Inhale, left fingertips up to the sky. And then you'll exhale, stay here for just a second. Make sure your right thigh is firm if you are keeping that right leg extended. Inhale, reach your left fingertips up overhead. Exhale, cactus that left elbow, widen the space between your collarbones, and then release your left hand down to the ground. Inhale, the right foot steps up to meet the left foot, hands to your shins, you find a flat back. You exhale and fold forward again. Inhale, reach your arms all the way around and up to the sky, stand all the way up. Exhale, palms of the hands come to touch at heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up again. Last time, you'll exhale and swan dive forward and down. You inhale to pull your spine long as you lift halfway up, so balance between the front and back of the neck. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, left foot steps back behind you. Inhale, right fingertips reach up and then over to frame your ear. You exhale and cactus that right elbow. Release your right hand down. Inhale, plank pose. Knees are lifted or lowered. Shoulders shift forward past your wrists. You exhale halfway or all the way down. Inhale through your back bend of choice. You can take a baby cobra, or you can straighten your arms this time so your hips and thighs lift off of the floor for upward facing dog. If you are taking this variation, make sure tailbone is lengthening back, pubic bone is pulling up towards your chin, your shoulders are pushing down your back away from your ears, and then exhale, tuck your toes under, lift your hips all the way up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. And a breath out here. Inhale, look up. Exhale, the left foot steps up between your hands. Inhale, left fingertips reach up to the sky, and then they come all the way over to frame your ear. You exhale and cactus that left elbow, and then release the left hand down to the ground. Inhale, step your right foot up to meet your left foot. Immediately bring your hands to your shins and find a flat back. Exhale, let your upper body relax down as you fold here. And now you'll inhale and reach your fingertips all the way around and up to the sky. So come to stand all the way up. Exhale, the palms of your hands come to touch at the center of your chest. You're gonna pause here. And in this shape, you'll bring the big toe mounds of your feet together, so your heels are gonna be just a sliver wide apart. You'll inhale and reach your arms around and up, but this time you'll stack one hand on top of the other hand on top of the crown of your head. You widen your elbows and press the crown of your head up into your hands as you press your hands down into the crown of your head. Inhale, pull your spine even longer. And then as you exhale, your right elbow tip draws back as the left elbow tip pushes forward. And note that we really want this twist to be coming from the upper back, so make sure your hip stays square. In other words, you're pushing your right hip forward, your left hip back. So the hips are not revolving into this twist with you. Keep your elbows drawing wide apart here, space between the collarbones. And then you'll inhale and bring yourself back to center. Switch the hand that's on top, or switch the interlace of your fingers if you interlace them. And then as you exhale, you're gonna unwind, left elbow tip back, right elbow tip pushes forward. Again, collarbones stay spread wide apart. Your elbows are pulling wide apart. With each breath in, you lengthen your spine. With each breath out, you push right elbow forward, left elbow back. Your pelvis stays neutral here. So on this side, you're really gonna have to fight your fight to keep the right hip bone back and the left hip bone moving forward in space. With your next inhale, you can come back to center, reach both arms straight up to the sky. And this time, as you exhale, cactus both of your elbows and find an arch in just the uppermost part of your back. And we're gonna hold this here for a few breaths. So make sure your tailbone is lengthening down, your pubic bone is lifting up in the front, and that as you're cactusing your elbows, you're drawing both your elbows and your wrists back behind you. And that you're finding an arch just in the uppermost part of your back. So your sternum reaches up, shoulders draw down your back away from your ears. Chris, can you back bend a little bit more in the upper back here? Yeah, beautiful. Okay, with your next breath in, reach both arms straight up to the sky, lengthen out your spine so you can let go of the back bend just a little bit. But as you exhale, you'll dive yourself forward and down. You inhale and take your hands to your shins, find a halfway lift, and now I'm gonna give you guys some options. You bend your knees, you plant your hands, and then you can either step yourself back to that plank pose, or if you're feeling a little more ambitious today, you can hop yourself back to chaturanga, which is what Chris is gonna demonstrate now. So if you're hopping back to elbows that are already bent to 90 degrees, and then you move through your back bend of choice. You either move through that baby cobra like we did in the beginning of the practice, or you move through upward facing dog. You exhale to tuck your toes under, lift your hips all the way up and back, downward facing dog. Now inhale, reach your right leg straight up and back behind you. Exhale, curl your knee to your nose, dome your upper back, and as delicately as you can, step your right foot forward. This time, you're gonna breathe in and reach both arms straight up to the sky, so you're coming into a high lunge. If this is feeling very unstable, similar to that twist shape you did before, you always have the option to drop your back knee down to the ground. And know that if it's uncomfortable for you to have that back knee down on the floor, you can always use your pillow, you can always use your bolster as a little extra cushioning. Now, in this high lunge, I really want you guys to think about lengthening your tailbone down towards the floor and pulling your pubic bone in the front up towards your chin. So you're still working to find balance between the front and back of your body. Now you're gonna take one hand on top of the other hand on top of the crown of your head. Elbows stay wide. You inhale and pull your spine longer. As you exhale, the right elbow moves back in space, the left elbow pushes forward. Collarbones stay spread wide apart. And that might mean that you don't necessarily twist here as much as you usually do. And that's totally fine, you don't have to. With each breath in, think about pulling yourself longer. With each breath out, you unwind into that twist. We'll take one breath in to get a little bit longer here. One breath out unwinds you into that twist. And now you'll inhale and come back to center, reach both arms up to the sky. Chris, can you lift your back knee for just a moment? You're gonna keep your fingertips reaching up, but now everybody is going to drop their back knee down and untuck the back toes so the top of the left foot comes to the ground. And now we want to be sure that there is some sort of angle in the back thigh. So for most of you, that might mean walking your right foot forward a little bit more. And then with that shimmying forward of the right foot, you'll bend into the right knee so the right knee is balanced over the right ankle. You'll let your pelvis drop forward and down. And now in this shape, you're still working to lengthen out the lower back and zip up the front line of the body. You inhale and lift higher through the crown of your head. As you exhale, cactus your elbows and find just a little bit of an arch in your upper back. So your sternum reaches up towards the sky. Maybe your gaze looks up slightly as well. You'll inhale again, reach both arms straight up to the sky, and then you exhale and bring both hands back down to the ground. You'll tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee up, slide your pillow out of the way if you were using a pillow, and then right foot steps back to meet the left foot. You're gonna come into a downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg straight up and back behind you. With your exhale, curl your knee to your nose, dome your upper back as delicately as you can, left foot steps forward. Beautiful. Inhale, both arms reach straight up to the sky. And once again, if there is that crunching, that compression in the lower back, or if balance is really tricky here, you're more than welcome to drop your right knee down to the ground. Either way, you're gonna lengthen your tailbone down as you pull your pubic bone in the front up, and then stack one hand on top of the other hand on top of the crown of your head. Your elbows come wide apart. Collarbones spread wide apart. You're pressing your head up into your hands to help you find that extra bit of length there in your spine. And then with your breath out, you push right elbow forward, left elbow back. So again, every breath in helps you find a little extra length. Every breath out, a little more rotation, right elbow forward, left elbow back. We'll stay with this for just 2 more breaths. One more breath. And now as you inhale, you'll unwind yourself, reach both arms straight up to the sky. You'll exhale and drop your right knee down to the ground if it's not there already, and then untuck your right toes. If you need to find the support of your pillow or your blanket underneath your right knee, again, you definitely can. And then you'll make sure that there's some incline, there's some angle in the top of the right thigh. And so that might mean adjusting your stance accordingly, maybe walking your left foot forward and then bending into your left knee a bit more. As you inhale here, you'll pull your spine longer. As you exhale, you cactus your elbows, find a little arch in just the uppermost part of your back. So you're finding the slightest back bend here. You inhale and reach both arms straight up to the sky again. And now as you exhale, release your hands down, curl your right toes under, lift your right knee up, and then step yourself back into another downward facing dog. We'll take a breath in here. And a breath out. At the bottom of that breath out, you'll release your knees down to the mat, sit your hips over to one side, and then swing your legs around in front of you. You'll bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet to the ground, and you might need to scoot yourself a little further forward on your mat. You're gonna grab onto the backs of your thighs. And for a moment, just lift your sternum up high towards the sky. Work to find even more length in the uppermost part of your back, and make sure that your knees aren't kind of moving away from each other here, but that instead you keep your knees inner hip distance apart. And now as you exhale, you're gonna round your spine, still holding onto the backs of your thighs. So it's like you're making that cat shape with your back again. You inhale and work to arch it. You exhale and round once again. Inhaling, you arch. Exhale, you round. One more time, you'll arch your spine, you'll pause here, but you'll wrap as much of your forearms, as much of your elbows underneath the backs of your legs as you can here, and then you'll pull your chest closer to your thighs and let everything in your upper body round and relax down. And so we are finding a forward fold here. It's not going to be as intense as a forward fold that we might take with one or maybe even two legs straight out in front of us. But it does still give us the benefit of releasing the parts of the spine that we normally would in any other folded shape without too much stretching in the hamstrings. So we're gonna stay here for just a few breaths. As you stay, make sure once again that your knees are not falling away from each other, but that instead the inner thighs stay squeezing in closer. Make sure you're still breathing here. We'll take 3 more breaths in and out. And 2 more inhales and exhales. And the last time you'll breathe in. You'll breathe out and you'll take your hands to the backs of your thighs, 1 vertebra at a time. You'll round yourself down onto your back. From your back, you'll take either the palms of your hands to face up beside you, or you can bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your chest. If having the legs lengthened out in front of you means that your lower back starts talking to you a little bit, you might slide your pillow or your bolster underneath your knees for a little extra cushioning, for a little extra support. You'll let the eyes close. And you'll give yourself a moment here to return your awareness once again to that observation of your aliveness, of the way it ripples through you, the breath, the heartbeat, the movement, the change. And with this deeper sense of rest and ease in the body, you'll begin to deepen your breath. You'll wiggle into your fingers, you'll wiggle into your toes, start to wake your body back up again. In your own time, you'll take your knees into your chest and roll over onto whichever side you'd like. Find a fetal position. And from that fetal position, you'll press down through one hand at a time and bring yourself up to sit. And bring the palms of your hands to touch at the center of your chest in gratitude for all of the effort you put into this practice, for your patience. Namaste.